The BBC's Sherlock is one of the best modern adaptations of Sherlock Holmes, and it had such an impact that other detective shows tried to take its place. As one of the most popular literary characters ever, Sherlock Holmes and his cases have been adapted to all types of media for decades, often with some interesting creative liberties. Created by Mark Gatiss and Stephen Moffat, Sherlock brought the great detective and his accompanying characters to modern-day London, adapting the book's cases to modern social issues, technology, and more. Sherlock had a strong start with its first 2 seasons, but it quickly declined in its final 2 seasons. Even with its infamous ending, Sherlock is still one of the best detective TV shows of all time, and it has been greatly influential. Many crime shows have been influenced by the BBC's Sherlock, some in more obvious ways than others, but in the end, they all succeeded on their own merits. Hannibal. Developed by Brian Fuller, Hannibal is a psychological horror thriller TV series based on characters from Thomas Harris Hannibal novels. Hannibal, then, introduces its audience to FBI profiler Will Graham, Hugh Dancy, who is recruited by Jack Crawford, Lawrence Fishburne, head of the FBI's behavioral sciences, to investigate a serial killer. The case ends up being too much for Graham, so Crawford has him supervised by forensic psychiatrist Dr. Hannibal Lecter, Mads Mikkelsen, who is secretly a serial killer and a cannibal. While Lecter attempts to manipulate the FBI from within, he forms a strong bond with Graham, who has the ability to empathize with the most terrifying murderers. Although Hannibal and Sherlock are 2 very different stories and characters, the opposite personalities and backgrounds of Graham and Lecter are like a twisted mirror of those of Holmes and Watson. Hannibal is a lot darker than Sherlock, being the best option for those looking for something disturbing. True Detective credit, Moviestills DB. True Detective is an anthology crime drama TV series created by Nic Pizzolatto. Each season is a self-contained story with different characters, with the first season starring Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson, the second one starring Colin Farrell, Rachel McAdams, and Taylor Kitsch, the third one led by Mahershala Ali and Carmen Ejogo, and the fourth starring Jodie Foster and Callie Race. True Detective Season 1 follows detectives Rust Cole and Marty Hart investigating a ritualistic murder in 1995. Season 2 follows 3 detectives from different jurisdictions investigating crimes connected to the murder of a politician. Season 3 follows a detective investigating a crime involving 2 missing children, and Season 4 centers on 2 detectives investigating the disappearance of 8 men. Aside from the partnership between the detectives in all seasons of True Detective so far, which is reminiscent of that of Holmes and Watson, True Detective feels influenced by Sherlock in terms of the dark and philosophical crimes it covers. True Detective didn't replace Sherlock because it succeeded on its own merits, and now ranks among the best TV shows of all time. Watson Ed Aracle, copyright symbol CBS, courtesy Everett Collection. One of the most recent adaptations of characters from Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's books is Watson. Created by Craig Sweeney, Watson brings together medical drama, mystery, and crime, and as the title says, it focuses on Dr. John Watson, Morris Chestnut. Watson is set a year after Sherlock Holmes' supposed death at the hands of Moriarty at Reichenbach Falls. Because of that, Watson resumes his medical practice and opens the Holmes Clinic for patients with strange and unidentifiable issues. However, not all is peaceful for Watson without Holmes, as he's forced to confront his past when evidence surfaces that hints that Moriarty is still alive, and that might also lead to the discovery of Holmes' survival. The influence of the BBC's Sherlock in Watson is quite clear, with the latter being yet another modern TV adaptation of Conan Doyle's characters, though this time focused on Watson. However, Watson does what Sherlock never did, which is to explore what Watson did in the years that Holmes faked his death. It's a different look at Watson, and its mix of genres makes it stand out. The Irregulars. The Irregulars is an adventure crime drama TV series created by Tom Bidwell, loosely based on characters from Conan Doyle's books. The Irregulars takes the audience back to Victorian London to follow the Irregulars, a group of teenagers who work for John Watson, Royce Pearson, to solve supernatural crimes. On top of that, the Irregulars are also tasked with searching for Sherlock Holmes, Henry Lloyd Hughes. The series is based on Conan Doyle's Baker Street Irregulars, a group of street boys employed by Holmes as intelligence agents. The kids are tasked with running errands and tracking down information for Holmes, with the detective recognizing their sharp minds and ability to go everywhere and hear anything. The Irregulars had the potential to be an interesting take on the world of Sherlock Holmes, but it was cancelled after just 1 season. The influence of Sherlock is clear, though instead of focusing on the dynamic between Holmes and Watson, it's all about the dynamics between the often forgotten young spies of the detective, with the show giving their stories a dark tone. Bosch. One of the best and most popular detective shows in recent years, and post-Sherlock, is Bosch. Developed by Eric Overmyer, Bosch is based on Michael Connelly's Harry Bosch novels. Bosch follows lap detective Harry Bosch, Titus Welliver, a former Army Special Forces operator and veteran of the First Gulf War and Afghanistan. Although Bosch has deep respect for rules and policy, he's still kind of a renegade, making him stand out from other detectives but also getting him into trouble. In addition to investigating murders, Bosch has to deal with the corruption and politics within the police department, along with the many ups and downs in his personal life. Bosch was a hit with critics and general audiences, so much so that it has received 2 spin-off series so far, Bosch, Legacy and Ballard. Bosch doesn't have a partner like Holmes has Watson, and, instead, Sherlock's influence is on Bosch himself. Although the character of Harry Bosch is an adaptation, his TV version is similar to Sherlock's Holmes in terms of both being brilliant detectives with difficult personalities and who bend the rules as they please and need. Both also have problems with authority and an arch-nemesis. Bosch's Moriarty is Reynard Waits, but Bosch's differences are what made the show succeed. Elementary. The most obvious detective TV show influenced by Sherlock and that tried to replace it is Elementary. Created by Robert Doherty, Elementary is a modern adaptation of Sherlock Holmes and Company, but with some interesting twists. In the world of Elementary, Holmes, Johnny Lee Miller, has fallen from grace in London and spent some time in rehab for a substance use disorder. Holmes relocates to Manhattan, but his father forces him to live with a sober companion, this being Dr. Joan Watson, Lucy Liu. Watson was a successful surgeon until she lost a patient, and she takes this new job as Holmes' sober companion. As Holmes begins to work as a police consultant in New York City, Watson eventually becomes his partner and mentee.